Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Before I start today's video, I just wanted to discuss a couple of recent events that I feel that I've been too quiet on. Namely the Black Lives Matter movement. Just because everyone is starting to post normal scheduled posts and people are starting to quieten down about the Black Lives Matter movement does not make it any less important, and we all need to remember that racism is the biggest pandemic this world has ever faced. And we're in 2020, and we're still acting as if we were in, the 1800s, or even earlier, which is insane. And I watched a video by Ashley from Bookish Realm, and it made me really look at myself and understand that maybe I was doing things for the wrong reasons. And I've reevaluated, and I think everyone needs to go see that video, which I've linked down in the description down below. Please go watch it and just reevaluate some of the things you've been doing and the reasons you've been doing it. Very briefly, the second thing is around J.K. Rowling's disgusting comments about the trans community. Now, I am a Harry Potter fan. I have loved Harry Potter since I was extremely young, and for a story that preaches love and hope, yes, it does have problematic themes. There are problematic characters, and I completely do not justify those. And J.K. Rowling has disappointed me as a fan and as a reader. However, it's not a book series I can just throw away. I am unashamedly a Slytherin. That has been part of my identity since I read the first book, and it's not something I can just throw away. So if you see things in the background of my video, like my Harry Potter wands and my Harry Potter books, they will be there. And they're not something I'm going to stop showing because they're my books. What I will be trying to do, other than pre-orders that I've already paid for, I will not be buying anything new. I will be buying things secondhand, and any merch I buy will be from, indie stores. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of just briefly touch on it because J.K. Rowling disappointed me. And I am disgusted that she has these views and is not bothering to educate herself around the issues further. And she's very much, this is what I believe, this is what I think. I think that's wrong in so many levels. And, I don't follow her on Twitter anymore. And to be honest, if she writes any more books, I will not be buying them. I will not be interested in them. I don't think I've ever read any of her other books. But I am just discussing this now because I don't want people to think anything of me that just isn't true. Anyway, I will be moving on now to a lighter subject, which is I'm going to do the mid-year freak out tag because I haven't really read since my new moon video. I think it put me into such a reading slump. But I am reading again now. I'm actually currently reading Stalking Jack the Ripper, and I absolutely love it. Anyway, on to today's video. So, the first question is the best book of 2020. Yeah, the best book you've read so far this year. So I actually have two, and they're both by the same author. Well, one of them's by two authors, but two authors, well, one author I'd read some of their books before, and the other I had not read any books. But the first one that I really, really loved was The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. Now, this book blew my mind. It was incredible. The imagery, stunning. And if you haven't read it, it's one of those books that stays with you for a long, long time, and I absolutely loved every single page. It's a small book. It is only 235 pages, and it is chef's kiss. The second book that I absolutely loved this year was Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I've read some of the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. I've read Carpe Jugulum, which was very fun. I think I'm going to reread some of the Terry Pratchett Discworld series because they are very kooky and very fun, and I really, really did enjoy them. But this one is Good Omens. It's so, so, so funny. It's the relationships in here are just... I don't know. I don't even know how to explain this. Basically, I watched the Amazon Prime show with David Tennant and Michael Sheen. And David Tennant is one of my favourite actors. I loved him. I love him in everything. He's amazing. But Good Omens, I had to read the book after I watched the series. And damn, this is funny. And if you want just like a witty take on the apocalypse, I have the book for you. So the second question is best sequel you've read so far. Now this one was really easy because I haven't read that many sequels because I've been starting an awful lot of series. In hindsight, maybe that wasn't the best idea. But it's Margaret Atwood's The Testaments. I love The Handmaid's Tale. In fact, it's one of my all-time favourite novels in the fact that the way it's written is genius. The characters are... You root for them the entire way through. And this is like the absolute perfect continuation. I can't even begin to explain how much I love this book, but it's so, so clever, and it speaks about characters, but it doesn't tell you the names, and I find that to be one of the most amazing things about it, because having read The Handmaid's Tale, going to read The Testaments, you pick up on it. In a way, this isn't really a sequel. I don't know. It's not really a sequel, but it is. I don't know how to explain it. But it's incredible. You should read it. And it's got one of the best... I'll just read this to you. On the little, blurb bit, it says, before you enter their world, you might want to arm yourself with these thoughts. Knowledge is power, and history does not repeat itself, but it rhymes. Just... I really love this. Also, genius. How cool. How cool is that? I don't know. Maybe I'm just, I get excited by things. The third question is a new release that you're excited about but haven't read it yet. This was an easy one. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Now, I am so excited to read this, but it's very chunky. I have not read it because I'm supposed to be rereading The Hunger Games, and I haven't done that yet. So that's why I haven't read this. But also just look how stunning this edition is. This is the Waterstones exclusive, and oh boy is it pretty. End pages. Oh, just take that in. Stunning. So I know a lot of people had a lot to say about this book when it was announced last year. People had a lot to say about this book. They weren't excited by it because it was about President Snow and his backstory, and people were a bit confused, but I love villains. Give me a good villain in any story and I am excited. And I know a lot of people criticise that if you have to write a whole ass story about your villain wasn't very compelling in the main series. I kind of agree in a way, but The Hunger Games was a YA dystopian book series it was very good, and it was about Katniss and her struggles. Again, I need to reread them because I haven't read them in ages, but I'm so excited to read this. So number 4 was most anticipated release for the second half of the year, A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. But I'm very excited to read it. It just sounds amazing. Sirens. I love mermaids. I love the sea. I know sirens and mermaids, technically different, but are they? And the other one I was going to say, which technically, I mean, this is the second half of the year, right? And I think this is fairly new, but The Court of Miracles by Kester Grant. Just, stunning. And look at this. Bam. Absolutely beautiful. However, funny story about this book. I actually ordered a special edition from Waterstones, which had sprayed edges. Does this have sprayed edges? That's world problems, I know, right? But still, look how stunning this book is. So this was another one that I was super excited about. I know technically it's out, so it doesn't count, but still. Number 5 is the biggest disappointment of the year. No question, Lancelot. This book was so bad. I can't even explain to you how bad this book is. It has geography wrong. It's got inconsistencies with the Arthurian legend, and it just makes me cross. I grew up in Cornwall. I grew up going to St. Michael's Mount. I grew up going to Tintagel. All places that are connected to the legend of King Arthur. And this book, although on the surface to people who haven't grown up around these areas, it's great. To others who have grown up around the areas that King Arthur and his knights were rumoured to live, this kind of shat all over that. Look how many tabs I have. And I'm not saying that there was no redeeming features, because there are. However, I hated most of it. And there's a second one coming out, and I'm gonna have to read it. It's called Camelot, so I'm guessing it's gonna be about Arthur more than Lancelot, because this was very much Lancelot's kind of backstory and his father and where he came from. And, well, it obviously spoke about him and Guinevere a lot as well, which was super interesting, but the inconsistencies with the legend that I know pretty well got to me quite a lot. But if you're interested in it, I wouldn't say it well. I would caution you against reading it. However, it's well enough written, it's quite funny, and yeah, I want to see if Camelot's any better. I'm not holding my breath, but still. 6 was biggest surprise of 2020. Now, this book was recommended to me by my very, very, very talented and beautiful best friend, Katara. I'd never even heard of this book, never heard of this author, never heard of this series, and it blew me away. And that was The Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I loved every moment of this book. It was gripping. It was undercover in a school of assassins. Amazing. And it had everything you want from a book. Mystery, intrigue, death, assassins, little bit of love and romance sprinkled in, and being a spy. I absolutely loved this book. And the audiobook, chef's kiss. It was just if you're going to read this book, pick up the audiobook as well, because listening to the things that went on as well as reading it, because I read along to the audiobook, best decision ever. This is one of my favourite novels of this year, and I'm really excited to continue on the series. But look, it's amazing. I don't even have anything more to say. Just pick it up. You will understand once you've read it. 7 is my new favourite author, and that is Erin Morgenstern, author of The Night Circus and The Starless Sea. So I have only read The Night Circus. However, just below Lord of the Rings, which is my favourite novel series of all times. I'm a massive, massive, massive Tolkien fan. And The Night Circus is just below that. It's incredible, and I can't speak highly enough on it. Number 8 is my newest fictional crush, and that is Elias from Ember in the Ashes. Yep. Love him. Love him. I have another crush as well, and that is, please don't kill me for the pronunciation, but is it Inej from Six of Crows? She is just... And also Nina from Six of Crows. Yeah, I really enjoyed Six of Crows and those two women. Number 10 is Book That Made You Cry. So I didn't go into this book thinking it was going to make me cry, but it did, and that was Illuminae by J. Kristoff and Amie Kaufman. I was shocked by this book that it made me cry, but it did on multiple points. I am a bit stuck with Gemina, but that's okay. I will be continuing on when I have time to listen to audiobooks, as well as read along. I work in a job that means I can't just listen to audiobooks while I'm working from home, and that's impacted my reading quite hard because I actually have to physically read, and I've been broken up a lot of times because of the work I do. But yes, Illuminae made me cry. So the next question, number 11, is Book That Made You Happy, and that was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I'm not going to bang on about that book anymore. I'm sure you've heard my thoughts enough on that, but that is one of... yeah, it made me very, 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 very happy. Number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought this year. Now, I didn't buy this. This was gifted to me in a book exchange that I did with the Zoom family. And the really, really amazing and beautiful, lovely woman, Crystal, bought me this book. And when it arrived, my heart. And that was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. Just look at that. It's black sprayed edges. Sprayed edges is my thing. It's kind of embarrassing how much I love sprayed edges, but a book with sprayed edges, give me that. Yes, I'm going to be reading the Shadow and Bone series first before I continue with the Six of Crows duology, just because after conversations with people, apparently Crooked Kingdom makes more sense if you've read the Shadow and Bone series. I also bought The Language of Thorns because I'm so interested in this world that Leigh Bardugo has built and created, and I'm really excited to read the Shadow and Bone series. So, and I also saw another question, but it isn't on this one that I found, but it was an underrated gem, and that is definitely The Familiars by Stacey Halls. It's just a really nice kind of magic book that's set within the real world in Lancashire in 1612 when the Pendlewood witch trials were going on in Lancashire, and it follows the lives of two women who basically keep each other alive. It's just a very nice story, and I really, really enjoyed it. And again, look how stunning this book is. Like, just take a little look. So the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, I'm on 48 out of 75 in my Goodreads goal. So I'm more than halfway, which, thank you. Thank you for that. But I want to read a lot more. I've been doing a lot of readathons lately, and I don't think that's helped my reading. I felt quite stressed about reading. So in July, other than the reading rush, my TBR for that will be out mid-July. Probably. Other than that, I will not be taking part in any other readathons because I've been feeling very burnt out and I kind of just want to read what I want to read. So this month I finished Mistake, but the other two I was participating in haven't done nearly as well. But it's all good. These things happen. But I think just in July I'm just going to enjoy reading because of that. But yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you all in another video.